Hi, I'm Olivia.
Hi, I'm Maggie.
And this is Girls Talk Film. This is a podcast about movies. Every week we take 3 films that have a similar tone, theme, structure, perspective, type of character, and we break them down and compare and contrast.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. That's right. This is coming out after New Year's.
Yes, right after New Year's. So Happy New Year, everybody.
Right now we're in the tail end of 2025.
I'm eagerly awaiting 2026.
Right? Dude,
Yeah.
2025 was a weird year.
It was a rough year for me. Not really feeling like myself. I'm kind of trying to do like a rebirth in 2026.
I like the term rebirth
Instead of rebrand.
Imagining.
Yeah.
I don't know, rebirth. There's something very visceral about
No,
that.
I want to have like a substance-like thing where a newer, better, hotter version of me just emerges out of my back and lives life for me.
You know what's so funny is I never take like New Year's seriously. I'm always like, whatever, like I can any day.
Like resolutions?
Yeah, any day can be January 1st if you put your mind to it. Like I've always been like that.
Yeah.
But 2025 was so bad that I'm like, it has to be better.
Right. Like you're waiting for that countdown.
Oh, you have no idea. I've actually never been so excited for a new year.
Yeah. So by the time this episode comes out, Olivia and I will be completely different people is what we're saying.
You will not recognize us come next episode. Mm-hmm. We promise. We'll both go to the gym once and be like, oh my God.
New year, new me. Interesting episode this week.
Yeah. So this week we are, if you haven't read the title, discussing true crime movies. Mm-hmm. And before we get into it, we do just want to say that obviously anything that we say about depictions of real people in these films really should not be applied to the actual people. We plan to discuss the ethics of true crime media. We're not just going to like sweep that under the rug. That's
right. That's kind of the point of this episode.
Kind of the whole thing we're talking about. We're just discussing the movies. We're not discussing the real events, and we want to do so with sensitivity to the real life victims.
Yes. Obviously, we know that there's a lot of people impacted by these real life cases and there are real victims to this. So when we critique the movie, we're doing just that. We're critiquing the film, the characters of the movie, the acting, the direction, how the story unfolds in the film, not the actual crime itself.
Yes. But yeah, I'm really excited to talk about these movies. I feel like we picked a really good lineup to discuss how true crime is shown in film.
Oh, yeah. I'm kind of I enjoy learning about true crime. I do it mostly because I am a worst case scenario kind of person. So I like to be prepared. I like to hear stories about how I can be safe in different settings and different situations. I also, I have a bit of a morbid curiosity and a psychological aspect.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm just like a pervert. Like, I'm just like a twisted person that is...
You're just a freak.
I'm just a freak. And like a lot of my fellow freaks, I am drawn to gruesome, titillating stories.
Okay. I am a little bit too, but mostly I like to know how to be safe.
Yeah.
But I do find media... true crime media to be I'm very selective with mine. I feel like it's very exploitative at times. And so I really try to hand pick the media that I consume that I feel is more respectful and spreading awareness rather than like exploitative and taking advantage.
Yeah.
But I think the movies that we have this week are a very diverse scope of what I'm talking about.
I don't know if I know enough about the real life cases to definitively say if any of these 3 movies are exploitative. I feel like they did all try to pay respect to the fact that they are true stories in some manner or another.
I agree with you.
I with these films, I feel like the effort was made on the parts of the filmmakers to pay respect to it.
I just don't know about the execution.
Before we get into it, some background on true crime fiction. So as far back as the early Renaissance, tales of murder, tales of lust, tales of betrayal were made into songs. And many of these ballads were later transcribed by scholars and became what we now know as folklore. So people, way back when, were interested in true crime. We have always had this instinct to be drawn towards the darker parts of human nature, to know about them. By Shakespeare's time, peddlers had figured out a way to profit from the public's love of sensationalism by selling printed versions of the most popular ballads. So that is kind of the earliest form of true crime fiction. These accounts were mostly created with one overriding purpose: to sell as many copies as possible by appeasing to the public's innate love of narrative sensationalism. So Ryan Murphys have been around for a very long time. Ryan Murphy is not the first of his kind, nor will he be the last, most likely. Before we jump into In Cold Blood, which many have called the first real piece of true crime fiction, and I including Capote himself, and I want to get into that as well.
Yes.
But a little background on American true crime fiction pre In Cold Blood. It's kind of widely agreed that the earliest form of American true crime writing was the Puritan execution sermon.
That makes sense.
It kind of combined moral edification with shock value and supplied lessons about the fate that awaits the wicked, while also still catering to kind of appetites for more lurid entertainment. And then as the years progressed, American true crime writing kind of just started to reflect cultural shifts in the country. It became increasingly secular and increasingly commercialized. And by the 1830s, the marketplace was absolutely flooded with true crime accounts. And then, as we see, continues to be.
I mean, it's almost an oversaturated market today.
Way oversaturated. I mean, how many freaking documentaries does Netflix make a month? I know that's technically true crime nonfiction, but it's still true crime.
Well, I mean, they did just use AI in one of their most recent ones.
Oh, which one?
We'll have to talk about it after we record, but yeah, that was like a huge deal.
Can you name it now? So that people know.
I know the case. I don't know what the documentary is called, but it's the Jennifer Pan. If anyone knows true crime, it's a pretty like famous, more recent case. The Jennifer Pan Netflix documentary. They fully created an AI image of her. For no reason. Like, it really, you could have completely taken that image out.
Okay, well, good to know so I don't click on it.
So the first movie we are talking about today is In Cold Blood. It was made in 1967. It is a crime film, obviously. It was directed by Richard Brooks, written by Richard Brooks, and it is based off of Truman Capote's 1966 novel of the same name.
So, as we said, In Cold Blood is widely considered one of the first pieces of true crime fiction. That is, in fact, not true. So, Truman Capote himself actually claimed that his novel In Cold Blood was the first piece of what he called the non-fiction novel, which is a narrative form that employed all the techniques of fictional art, but is nevertheless immaculately factual. That is a direct quote from an interview that Capote did with George Plimpton.
If you know anything about Truman Capote as like a person, that is like so on brand for him. Like,
immaculately factual.
Oh yeah.
However, researchers, beginning with a writer for Esquire named Philip K. Tompkins, actually did like a day of research and found that Capote not only indulged in a great deal of novelistic embellishment, but invented entire scenes. So his claim that his novel was immaculately factual is false.
Have you read this book, In Cold Blood?
I have not. I know I should. I know it's great. I think a friend actually gave me a copy of it for Christmas one year.
Oh, really?
So I have the book, but I have not read it.
I had to read it for school. Shout out to Furf. Thank you for making me read that. It is a great book. Like, it's really, especially if you are, morbidly curious about true crime, it's very interesting.
I feel like after watching the film, I definitely have more interest in reading the book.
I think you would really like it. But what makes this book so interesting, and the movie subsequently very interesting, is Truman Capote's relationship with the two murderers of this story, Perry and Dick. Truman Capote became very close to both of them, specifically Perry, as he was writing this book.
Which, I mean, Perry was shown a lot more sympathetically in the film.
Well, I mean, it's so interesting how he claims his book is super factual. And I think the movie definitely does it way more than the book does. I think the book is even a bit more objective, which is funny because
immaculately
like you just
factual.
said, it's, you know, he fabricates a pretty good amount. But the movie leans very heavily towards Perry and sympathizes a lot with Perry. And I mean, it just brings up an interesting idea of the ethics of true crime and true crime media, where you have the narrator, the storyteller, Truman Capote, who is really supposed to portray a very objective, like that is the role of true crime media, is to just show the facts. And in a way he does, but also, again, you can tell that he leans very heavily towards Perry. And it's known that they had a very close relationship up until Perry's death.
That's so interesting. I didn't know that.
They, like, Capote, like, considered him a friend, like, at the end.
Wow.
Oh, okay, I wouldn't say, like, they were best buddies, but he grew very close to him. And, yeah, it's a very, like, controversial thing about this book. So I read the book, and then I actually watched the movie Capote, which is about Truman Capote. It's a great movie.
Have not seen it.
Philip Seymour Hoffman plays Capote, and just like best performance ever. But a big part of that movie is him writing in cold blood and just kind of having this like moral dilemma almost. And there's a really, really great scene. I don't know how like accurate this scene is to real life, but there is a great scene in the movie where like Truman Capote is quite literally like talking to Perry and Dick right before they go to the hanging, and he is like crying and he's like, I'm sorry I couldn't save you guys.
Oh wow.
And so like it's kind of like,
do we know if that happened or if that was just a scene in the film?
I can't remember. I watched it so long ago. I watched it back in high school, so like I can't really remember.
But clearly there was truth to the fact that he had a relationship with them beyond
there is 100%
interviewing.
truth that especially him and Perry had a very close dynamic as Capote was writing this book.
That is so interesting.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I liked this movie.
It was a first watch for you?
This movie, yes, was a first watch.
This was a first watch for me as well. As I said, I have not read the book. I knew it was about a murder case. That's kind of all I knew going into it.
To be fair, I prefer, out of the 3 pieces of media I've seen about this particular story, that being the book In Cold Blood, this movie In Cold Blood, and the movie Capote, this is probably the bottom of my list. But I don't think it's bad. I prefer the book over everything.
I'm sure. I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed it kind of the amount that I thought I would enjoy it. I was expecting a well-made, older crime film, and that's what I got. I thought the performances were really good.
Yeah, they were.
Especially because the 2 men cast as the leads were not really actors.
Oh, really?
Before they were cast? No, they were cast because they look so much like their real-life counterparts.
Well, I was going to say, they actually, like, especially the guy playing Perry looks a
lot
uncanny.
Like him.
Yeah.
So the film In Cold Blood was distributed by Columbia Pictures and received a wide theatrical release in December 1967. It was nominated for 4 Academy Awards that year. It was nominated for Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, and Best Original Score. Didn't win any.
No, but that's okay.
That's fine. So yeah, Capote actually chose Albert Brooks to make the film adaptation because he was the only director who agreed with and was willing to risk my own concept of how the book should be transferred to film. So doing it in black and white, casting unknown actors, those were purposeful choices on the parts of Capote and Brooks. And Capote was very involved in the filmmaking, I
was just going to say, it sounds like he had a very strong influence over this movie, which again, kind of makes sense with the way that the film plays out.
Yeah, I think he was only willing to give the rights to a director who would give him some control over the film, which is, honestly, I get it.
The film opens on a flashback. We see how ex-convicts Perry Smith, who's played by Robert Blake, and Richard Dick Hickok, who's played by Scott Wilson.
That is such an unfortunate name.
Hickok.
Dick Hickok?
Yeah.
That's so sad.
And it's his real name.
I know.
Ouch.
That's what makes it sad.
Yeah. We see how the men met in rural Kansas in 1959. Together, they concoct a plan to invade the home of the wealthy Clutter family, as the patriarch Herbert Clutter supposedly keeps a very large sum of cash in a wall safe. So basically, they get this tip that there's $10,000 kept in this safe on this farm. They plan to go steal the money.
Yeah. Really quick, I just want to talk about the opening shot of the film, which I really like.
I really liked it too.
It's Perry in the back of a bus, and you can see his boot, but you can't, like, his face is shrouded in darkness. And then he lights a match to light his cigarette. And I think the effect that we were supposed to get was, like, he lights his match and then brings it to his face. And that's like the light of the match alights his face. But what the filmmakers decided to do was he lights the match and then a spotlight just shines on his face.
Right there. Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's not even pretending to be candlelight.
No.
It's a perfect spotlight.
Yeah.
On his face.
And it's so bright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked the shot. Like, it looks
very
really
pretty,
good. It
yeah.
just is funny.
Also, we have this really interesting jazz score, which I find
loved the score.
I thought it was great, but I do think it's very interesting considering, like,
Where the film takes place.
Yeah, like, especially, I'm going to be a bit annoying, and I'm going to keep repeating myself and be like, when you read the book, but, like, the setting both in the book and I think in the movie too, but really in the book of In Cold Blood is, like, so instrumental in the plot. Like, it's this quiet, you know, very Southern, very
Kansas.
Like, yeah.
And I actually will say the location is quite important in the film as well, because the director and obviously the production designer shot on the location of where things actually happened in real life.
Oh, really?
All the courtroom scenes take place in the courtroom where Perry and Dick were convicted. Like, they filmed in the real courthouse where it happened.
That's weird.
They even cast some of the real jurors as the jury.
That's, like, too much, in my opinion.
They did that for a fair amount of scenes. There's a scene at a gas station that what happens within the scene actually happened at that gas station in real life.
Wow.
There was a lot of attention paid to making sure that the locations were accurate.
Yeah, it's just funny because, again, it's a very much like nothing happens here town. And again, that's like why this murder hits so deeply in this community. But so the jazz is a bit like New York City, like very more hustling kind of happening area.
I mean, I kind of thought it aligned with Perry's secret desire to be a jazz singer.
I'm sure that's metaphorically what it is, but it just kind of like threw me off because when I think of In Cold Blood, I think of like just such a different, like, you know, when you read something and the score plays in your head,
100%.
That's not at all what this score was for me.
And you're thinking like No Country for Old Men type of vibes.
Totally.
Yes. I know what you're saying. So Perry and Dick end up breaking into the Clutter home in the middle of the night, but are unable to find the safe, as Herbert actually uses checks for both personal and farm transactions. In order to have no witnesses to their failed robbery, Smith and Hickok murder the entire Clutter family, cutting Herbert's throat and shooting his wife Bonnie and children Nancy and Kenyon. Their bodies are discovered the next day, and investigations are immediately launched by the Finney County Sheriff and the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, who we will refer to as the KBI going forward.
I said it to you off camera, but originally when this like buildup happens, which you pointed out is a really good tension building opening to the movie.
I really liked the first 10 minutes of the film kind of just build up to the murder, which you know is going to happen because
obviously
it happened in real life. So it's just this sense of dread, and it kind of moves at a slow pace. Like, we see all the kind of little moments of planning that went into the murder. I really liked it. It did actually create a sense of dread for me.
Yeah, which, again, you said off camera, but that's so hard to do in true crime stories because you know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
So a lot of times that tension is kind of just
which is why I
away.
liked the decision to open with a really slow pace. Things speed up as the film goes on. I actually thought it was quite well paced, but I liked the slow build. I liked that we are left kind of anticipating.
I do too. I will say though, when we first know that the Clutter family has been killed, we don't see it happen. I actually really liked that choice because I was like, yeah, we don't really need to see it.
Yeah,
and then
we know.
Later they show us what happened and I was like, that felt super unnecessary.
I totally agree with you. I could have done without that scene.
Perry and Dick soon become the primary suspects for the crime, but they manage to elude law enforcement by heading to Florida, traveling southwest across the country, and eventually going to Mexico. After 2 weeks there, they return to the U.S. broke and head for Vegas, hoping to win some money gambling.
Shortly after they arrive in Vegas, Smith and Hickok are arrested for driving a stolen car, passing bad checks, and violating parole. Later, the Las Vegas Police Department and the KBI separately interrogate them about the Clutter case, and both Smith and Hickok admit to passing bad checks, but at this point, both of them are denying knowing anything about the murders.
I think it's important to say right now before I forget. So like we said earlier, this movie is very sympathetic towards Perry. We see a lot from Perry's perspective in this movie. Like we see a lot.
We see like his home life. We see his inner turmoil.
Yeah. Specifically, we see a lot of flashbacks, which
did get tiresome.
I wrote, I'm not ... into these flashbacks ...
There were just too many of them. There's like 4.
Also, like, in my opinion, they don't really add that much.
I kind of agree with you. I was more interested in what's happening in the present.
I also really, I mean, it's hard, again, like talking about true crime because they're real people, but in the film, I really like the dynamic between Perry and Dick. Like their conversations, which was very accurate to what their dynamic seemed to be in the book, was very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
How Dick is kind of this manipulator, sweet talker, and Perry is more ethically grounded.
And a little more hapless.
But he also is a bit of a hothead. So every time that stupid mom's voice came up, I was like, oh, okay.
No, I started to feel the same way. By like the 4th time, I was like, come on. Like,
yeah.
Also, we get it.
Right. It was just, it was too much, and it was very unnecessary in my opinion. Hickok relents when the KBI confronts them with evidence like photos of bloody footprints that match each of their footwear. Hickok then confesses that he was present, but that Smith actually carried out the murders, and begs for immunity from the death penalty. After Smith learns that Hickok has cracked and basically confessed everything to the police, he confesses that he committed all 4 killings, but maintains that Hickok was an accomplice. Like, he's not innocent in any of this.
Yeah. And eventually, Smith and Hickok are charged with first-degree murder, found guilty on all counts, and are sentenced to hang. After losing multiple appeals stretching over 5 years, some of which made it to the U.S. Supreme Court, both men are put to death as prescribed by law. And apparently, that was attended by Truman Capote.
Oh, yes, it was. Second movie we've covered now that has an execution by hanging.
Yeah. What was the other one?
Dancer in the Dark.
That's right. Oh my God. That was episode 1.
I know, crazy.
What a callback. You know, people still watch it.
What?
Like
episode 1?
Yeah, like every few days we get another view.
Everyone should.
And I'm all, really? Because I'm always like, don't.
No, come on.
Like, no, we get better. I
well,
promise.
we did get better, but I like that episode. But yeah, interesting little note.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed that the film depicted the entire picture. Like, I like that it's just a full picture of the crime, the runaway, the attempted flee, the arrest, the conviction, the execution. It felt like it was wrapped up very nicely.
I think there's a lot of highlights in this movie.
Yeah.
I specifically really like the ending monologue that Perry has.
Yes.
I think that's a really great...
That was like my favorite scene.
My favorite scene. I think the actor does a great job. I like the writing. And there's a really beautiful silhouette of the rain falling down on half of his face. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's a really beautiful shot.
A lot of
obviously very metaphorical, but that easily was the best part of the movie for me.
I thought a lot of the cinematography was very beautiful. I liked the use of backlight. They use backlight a lot to create these really great shadows and kind of like halos around people. I thought that was really cool. I also I love like a high depth of field old movie. Like I really do love a high depth of field. I am very partial to it. Mm-hmm. So I thought that a lot of the imagery in general was really good. Yeah, it's a bit by the numbers, but for what it is and kind of how seminal it was both as a book and a movie, it feels strange to call it by the numbers because it is the thing that created the numbers.
Right.
This was the first time at the time.
Right. It's very revolutionary in that way. I will say, I think this is the kind of movie that would do well with a remake. I think it would just be really interesting to see, especially knowing what we know now with true crime being such an oversaturated market and this being kind of the first American true crime story. I think it's just kind of interesting to put it in today's lens, but
Agreed.
also knowing what we know about Truman Capote and his very strong bias in telling the story, I think there could be kind of like,
I would be interested to see a remake where maybe his part in it was more explicit.
and again, they kind of go over that in Capote, but Capote is about him.
Yeah.
It's not about this murder and this crime. So I would be interested to see like how this story is told with him as an active character in it.
100% agreed.
And also just like it's an older movie, and I think if you gave it to the right director, I think it could be done very well. And in a very respectful way.
I totally agree with you. I mean, I think that is the one thing, is that the victims do end up feeling sidelined by the end. The story really isn't about them.
No, it really never was. Like,
No.
I'm pretty sure in the first chapter of the book is the murder. And I
okay.
don't even know if we really, I think we figure out kind of what happens, but like it is the first chapter and the rest of the book is about those two men.
Interesting.
And their arrest and everything.
So I guess it is still guilty of the sins that are levied against true crime media today.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things about true crime media is a lot of the times victims get sidelined and the fascination or really the spotlight goes onto the killer, which most of the time, not in this case per se, but most of the time really what that's doing is just feeding an ego that does not need to be fed.
Yeah. I mean, that is the question, though, is can there ever be a truly ethical piece of true crime media?
Or a truly objective piece of true crime media.
I don't know if there can be, if I'm being honest. Like, I really don't.
I mean, this movie does not help that argument at all. It's like completely the opposite.
I just think it's funny, the kind of even the director kind of mentioned that the cinematography was meant at points to evoke a documentary style. I find that the assertion that this film and the book are just showing the objective truth of the events and like the insistence that they are strange.
Right. They're almost like, we promise we're not making things up.
Yeah,
because now I don't believe you.
Even Truman Capote's like biggest critics about the ethics of his book all acknowledge that the book was great. Like,
it is a great book.
He could have just gone with, you know what, I did some fabricating, I elaborated to create for storytelling purposes. I honestly don't think it would have been as much of a controversy if he hadn't been so insistent that everything was told objectively.
I mean, you can make that same argument with what's happening with Ryan Murphy right now and those American true crimes. Like
the whole thing is, I don't think Ryan Murphy is under any illusion that he's telling the objective truth of these events.
He's not insisting on it like Truman Capote does, but he doesn't. I think as the filmmaker should go out and say, yes, there are very strong fabrications in my works, and he just doesn't. Like he's just kind of like, okay, well, now I feel like an idiot because maybe he has. But from the
okay, well, if he has,
please let us know.
Yeah.
But from what I have seen, he kind of just like puts it out, and the whole thing with being like American true crime, and it's like, okay, but that's actually not even a little bit how that story went.
Yeah.
So can you at least just be like, yeah, it's a fictitious retelling?
I feel like. No, actually, people are very quick to anger today. I feel like Ryan Murphy still wouldn't get off, but Capote definitely could. Also, because Capote wrote an incredible book, and Ryan Murphy makes middling television.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say that I have not read the book, but I've seen the Ryan Murphy shows. He's made one good one, and then we just let him make whatever. The good one was OJ.
But overall, this movie was fine, in my opinion. I don't think I'll go back to it anytime soon. I would reread the book again.
I'm definitely going to read the book.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'll return to the movie. For now, I'm going to give it like a 6.5. I did enjoy it. Maybe on a second watch, it'll go up. Don't know if I'll give it a second watch anytime soon, but...
I gave it a 5 out of 10. I was like, it was fine. Like,
really? I thought it was well made.
I thought it was well made too. It's just the mom flashbacks. Like, I was so sick of that by like the third time it happened. And again, maybe I'm just being pretentious because I was like, the book is better.
No, you're fine. You get to take you're now me in every
I was gonna
episode
say,
of this podcast.
Yeah, you are famous for doing the book is better. So
My
maybe that's
every
just
piece of
it.
commentary is always just like, well, in the book.
Yeah. But I thought it was fine. Again, will I go back to it anytime soon? No, but I wouldn't like I wouldn't tell people to stay away from it. I thought it was good.
So, question.
Yes.
Does anyone remember the Zac Efron Ted Bundy movie that was the talk of the internet for like 24 hours?
Why was that so popular on the internet? Like people were literally treating it like it was the only movie that came out that year.
No, actually, but it was big for like a hot second. And then the movie came out and people watched it and then everyone stopped talking about it.
Yeah, 'cause it's not good.
It's not.
No.
Well, that's what we're talking about today. Our next film is extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile. And boy, is that a working title if I ever heard one. Why the hell did they stick with that title?
Because it's a quote from the trial that
Just say extremely wicked. You could have just called the movie Extremely Wicked.
or shockingly evil and vile.
Yeah,
Even that's a better title.
way better. It's such a mouthful. I don't care where it's from. It's a terrible movie title.
It's right in front of my face and I know I'm going to say it wrong. Like I know I'm going to be like, so an extremely shocking and vile and wicked. Like I know I'm going to do that. So
Oh, of course you will, because no one can say this title. Like,
yeah.
Oh, I hate it so much. It's a crime drama directed by Joe Berlinger, who up until this point had only directed documentaries. So this is his directorial debut as a filmmaker. It was written by Michael Werwey, and it was based on Elizabeth Klepfer's memoir, The Phantom Prince, My Life with Ted Bundy. It premiered at the 2019 Sundance Film Festival, where it was acquired by Netflix, who released it on their platform in May 2019.
Before we get into this movie, we talked about In Cold Blood and just kind of like, you know, ethical retelling of true crime. This movie I find so baffling in the way they're telling this story.
So many strange decisions were made in this film, and very few of them work.
Listen, I think this is a really great example of the intentions were really good, but the execution was so bad.
Agreed.
It's almost offensive, in my opinion. Like, I actually think this movie's pretty offensive to the real life victims of Ted Bundy.
Honestly, yeah. And in a more personal sense, I was offended. You know, I've told you before, and I've probably said it on here, the worst thing a movie can be is boring. I can forgive so many things. And I think most audiences can forgive a lot, but the one thing that no one can forgive is boring. And boy, is this movie so boring.
I am a big contender for, like, you know, true crime stories need to be respectful to the victims.
Yeah.
And, you know, it can't just be this like all out gore fest. How do you make a movie about one of the most prolific serial killers
of all
in
time,
all history so insanely boring?
This should be a walk in the park. Like, this should be so easy to make thrilling.
I think, again, the intention and the way that they plan to tell this story is a really interesting perspective.
Agreed.
And they just completely butchered it.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's so melodramatic and it takes itself way too seriously. Which, like, I'm not saying that the movie should be light. Obviously, it's a very serious subject matter.
I mean, but whatever tone this was didn't work for me.
It was
and I found it oddly somber, and I don't know, not in an interesting. Again, it was just pretty much every choice that was made here just really didn't work for me.
I have a lot to say about the casting of this movie, and I have a lot to say about the tone of this movie, which we'll get into.
Let's jump in then. So, as we said, this is a biographical crime drama about the career and arrest of serial killer Ted Bundy, who is played here by Zac Efron.
Career is a very interesting choice of word.
I couldn't find another one, and I panicked. You know what? Accurate.
Yeah, I guess.
And it's primarily told through the perspective of his former girlfriend, who was in the film, named Elizabeth Kendall, and she's played by Lily Collins, who just... Go girl, give us nothing.
Listen, I actually like Lily Collins.
I haven't seen her in enough to like her.
I have, and I do like her. I don't think she's like Okay.
Go girl, give us nothing. She gives us nothing in this movie.
She is very, especially like as who we're supposed to follow in this movie, she is a rough main character to follow. She is
so deeply uninteresting. I really didn't like this movie. It was
I didn't either.
I felt like it was such a waste of time.
Oh yeah.
It's
long.
It's long as hell. I learned nothing new about the Ted Bundy case. I got really no insight into either him or her. I felt like there was just nothing to take away from this. Would recommend any of the Ted Bundy documentaries if you're interested in that story, but definitely would not recommend this film.
Yeah, as someone who like knows a little bit, I wouldn't say I'm like an expert by any means, but I've like, delved into the Ted Bundy crime and that whole case. It's a very, if you're like interested in true crime, it's a very deep rabbit hole you can fall down. Sure. Real quick, so Ted Bundy is played by Zac Efron.
Yes.
He does fine.
I thought he was totally fine. I don't think the script really gave him too much to work with.
Well, that is my thing, Olivia. So I said it to you, and I'm going to say it again. I think in a different world, he is actually so perfect as Ted Bundy. Because, like, Ted Bundy, for those who don't know, the real life serial killer was very, traditionally attractive, very charismatic, very welcoming, had a very, like, charming persona. Zac Efron is very much like that.
Yeah.
He's ridiculously handsome. He's kind of like Hollywood's golden boy. Like, he has a very likable personality.
He has like a good reputation. He kind of screams like nice guy.
Exactly.
Which I kind of agree with you, which is why this is such good casting.
Yes. And I seriously think if this movie had a better script, had a better director, and was just put in more competent hands, I do think Zac Efron, like after watching The Iron Claw especially, I think he has the capability of giving a really, really amazing performance.
He was so good in The Iron Claw.
So when I saw this movie, I mean, I went into it knowing it wasn't good, but I was like, oh, it actually makes me really mad because I think in another world, this movie could have been so, so good with him in the lead role. Mm-hmm. And it just like, the movie just let him down.
Yeah.
And it was really disappointing. And Lily Collins, again, like, I don't know if she could deliver the same caliber of performance I think we could potentially get out of Zac Efron, but I do think she's way better than what she puts on in this movie.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
That is, I'll accept it. I am not familiar enough with her work to levy any more criticisms against her, but I did not enjoy her in this film.
So we open up in 1969 Seattle, where Elizabeth, we'll call her Liz Kendall, a secretary and divorced mother, meets a law student named Ted at a bar. The two begin dating, and Ted helps Liz raise her young daughter, Molly.
Yeah, and he just seems like classic, like nice guy, kind of just like a good
He's like
dude.
A total catch.
Yeah.
Like, he's hot, he's a law student, he's smart, and he's like immediately ready to like kind of play father to,
unshaken by the fact that she has a daughter.
Yes.
Right from the jump, dialogue is clunky and overly expositional.
And the editing is awful
terrible. In
this movie.
Also, it looks bad.
You know what's so funny? I
really hated the color grading in this. Like, why are we sapping color?
My very first note in the movie is the hair and makeup isn't great. You can clearly tell that these are like modern haircuts disguised as the 60s and 70s. And same with the outfits too. They feel very artificial.
Yeah. What really got me was just the opening lines being the kind of one of the first scenes is Liz at a bar with her friend and before she meets Ted. And her first line is like, oh, no guys want to date a single mom. Or like, and then her friend's like, but you have your secretarial career. And it's like,
you're like,
oh my God, I hate this.
This is the level of writing we're going with?
This is what we're going with. Wonderful. The writing does get a little bit better as it goes on, but come on. How lazy are we getting here?
That's what I mean is like, I said it to you, but when I was watching this movie, I was like, I literally can't believe this is on Netflix. Like, this feels like one of those crappy Lifetime,
the bastion of quality,
like TV movies. Like, it's just crazy that like this is and there's a lot of really famous actors in this movie.
Like a decent amount,
in
yeah.
like bit parts. I was like, I can't believe this is like a big movie. This is so cheap feeling.
I mean, I think it was, I'm pretty sure it wasn't done with like a crazy big budget. I think it was done with like a pretty mid-tier budget. It was made independently and then picked up by Netflix, likely because of the stunt casting of Zac Efron as Ted Bundy. Like they knew that people would click on it. So after Liz and Ted start dating, we then cut to 1974, where news reports claim that multiple young women have been murdered recently in the area. Ooh. Including 2 who disappeared in broad daylight at Lake Sammamish, and apparently a man resembling Ted was seen by several people asking women to help him load his Volkswagen Beetle, which is the car that he drives. A composite sketch of the attacker is released, which looks exactly like Ted, and Ted is arrested the following year.
A young woman named Carol Duronk picks Ted out of a police lineup, claiming he kidnapped and threatened to kill her. However, she ended up escaping. Ted is released on bail and returns home to Liz. He explains that Carol was shown a picture of him before the lineup, which is why he looked familiar to her.
And Liz kind of accepts it.
Yeah. And basically he says, like, I'm being set up.
Yeah.
After a 4-day bench trial, Ted is found guilty of kidnapping and is sentenced to serve a maximum of 15 years in the Utah State Prison.
Yeah, so this is when... So the movie was kind of framed when it was coming out and by the filmmaker and by the marketing as this is the story of Ted Bundy from the perspective of his girlfriend Liz. Mm-hmm. And it kind of is up until now when the director decides, actually, no.
It's actually just the Ted Bundy story.
It's actually, I'm just going to show the scenes that I want to show.
Yeah, I mean, we completely just leave her. It's just crazy. Like, Ted Bundy was awful. Like, a monster who did unspeakably disgusting things to his victims.
Murdered so many
many women that we know of.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh, there are certainly some that we don't.
And it's just crazy how they are able to just, like, water down so much of it. And it's like, if you wanted to make a movie about Ted Bundy and the trial and his crimes, why would you not include so much of what those trials covered? And it's a televised trial, like we all know.
Exactly. And the more interesting parts about Ted Bundy, let's say you don't want to depict the murders. Fine. There's so much about his own self-mythology and like his self-mythologizing that is very interesting. I mean, he's asserted throughout like his entire life that he was never abused when most serial killers, most sociopaths were abused. Mm-hmm. And then there was a lot of doubt cast on that kind of when people dug more into his history, and it looked like he probably was. You know, why did he deny it? Did he have this desire to be different than like other serial killers? Like, what is that? Like, let's see some insight into his psychology. That's just an example, but what I really would have wanted is insight into his psychology. We don't get that at all. We are shown a play-by-play of the events. We never really get to see how he is internalizing everything, which would have been the interesting part. There's really no attention paid to it.
All that aside, you know, showing Ted's perspective and stuff like that, again, it's very much similar to me being like, oh, that really sucks with the whole like Zac Efron playing Ted Bundy thing, because I do think in theory a movie about the girlfriend of a serial killer and her story and her perspective is actually very interesting. That I'm sure there's a strong psychological, you know, weight that goes on your shoulders. Yeah. And, you know, there's so slim, but there were some small parts of the movie where you could kind of see Liz and her being like, how can someone who is so violent and so awful and this monster be so gentle and loving with me? Like, mm-hmm. How is that possible? And I was like, that's actually a really interesting perspective that really isn't explored that much.
No.
And it was so disappointing. I mean, we literally, when I tell you we leave Liz at the curb and then just go hop on the Ted train for like the rest of the movie, it's insane.
When she comes back as a main character towards the end, it's like surprising.
I got like whiplash.
Yeah.
And also, I can't decide what this movie wants us to feel about Ted Bundy, because in the first half, he's very sympathetic. He's very likable.
Because we're seeing him through Liz's eyes.
Exactly. But then once we leave Liz, he's still portrayed pretty sympathetic. I mean, not as much.
I guess my problem with the film is I don't think that we got enough insight into his perspective to sympathize with him. You feel very removed from all of the characters.
I would argue against that. Like the scene
Really?
where, he gets that drawing from the daughter and he's like emotional over it, and then he like hangs it up in his room and stuff like that. But then the next scene, they're at the trial and they're talking about like this disgusting thing he did to one of his female victims. And you're like, okay, I'm getting Whiplash movie. And I don't know. I could not figure out the tone in which this movie wanted to take, especially with us following him as the killer.
Oh, heavily agree. I don't think the movie knew what tone it was going for.
They were trying to figure it out themselves.
So after he is sentenced to prison, he is charged in Colorado with the murder of Karen Campbell, and he's transferred to Aspen in 1977. Around here, Liz is really struggling to accept the fact that he's guilty, even though all evidence is pointing to the fact that he's definitely guilty.
No, it's so obvious.
And she begins kind of descending into alcoholism. Ted chooses to represent himself in court, famously, and during a courthouse recess, escapes from jail by jumping from a second-story window. However, he is recaptured 6 days later, and Liz officially ends their relationship.
So Ted later escapes again and flees to Florida. Following his escape, 2 women at Florida State University are murdered, and 3 more are attacked. After he's arrested once again, he tries to call Liz, but she manages to hang up on him.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah.
Also, another thing, Ted Bundy is clearly a compulsive serial killer. You escape from jail, instead of going into hiding, you're going to...
Right, he immediately kills again.
Kill again. That would have been interesting to explore. I'm just saying, literally anything about his psychology. If we're going to make a movie about Ted Bundy, if we're going to do it, we might as well.
Yeah,
is kind of my perspective, and they just don't.
No,
and I, at this point, we're telling his story. This isn't about respect for the victims. You are actively telling the Ted Bundy story. That door has closed. Why can't we get more insight? So Ted starts to amass a following of women who are fascinated by him. Some even claim that they're in love with him. He's visited by an old friend named Carol Ann, who's played by Kaya Scodelario. You might know her as Effie from Skins, who believes that he's innocent, and she actually moves to Florida to be closer to him ahead of his trial. So she's just one of those kind of brainwashed girls who are obsessed with him.
Yeah, and apparently they know each other from back in the day.
Yeah, they were childhood friends or something.
But she's clearly enamored with him. Mm-hmm. A pretrial plea bargain is negotiated in which Ted would plead guilty to killing the 2 sorority girls, Lisa Levy and Margaret Bowman, and 12-year-old Kimberly Leach, but he refuses. He is claiming his innocence throughout this entire thing. Ted and Carol Ann grow closer as she visits him very regularly, but Ted continues to reach out to Liz, who is following the trials via television. Ted later ends up proposing to Carol Ann mid-trial, and they marry. That was so weird, that scene.
Yeah. In court, very incriminating physical evidence is provided, and in under 7 hours, which is freaking record time, the jury convicts Ted of the murders of Levy and Bowman and attempted murder and burglary, and he is sentenced to death.
10 years later, Liz receives a letter from Ted and visits him. She demands the truth about the murders, but Ted continues to deny having anything to do with them. She then shows Ted a photograph given to her by a detective. It's a crime scene image of one of his decapitated victims, and he finally admits that he cut off her head by writing the word hacksaw in the condensation of the room window.
If this happened, okay, it's dumb.
Okay, I don't think it did. I don't think he wrote that out.
I doubt it. It's so stupid.
It I don't know why it's it's this big buildup. First of all, he did way worse things to his victims. Way, way, way worse. I mean, Ted Bundy was literally scum of the earth.
No, but that's the thing is why are we treating it like it's a surprise? We all know.
But it's just funny. This scene is so long, first of all, and it's so overly dramatic. Mm-hmm. She's tell me what happened to her head. And he's like, I can't. I'm like, buddy, they were talking about the shit you were doing in the courtroom and it was 10 times worse than that. Like, and also, no offense, but like to this particular victim in Ted Bundy's
obviously
a range of victims, but like, why is there so much emphasis put on this one? Like this girl who's in this image has no connection to Liz. It's not like this image has haunted Liz, really.
I mean, I can imagine that this is probably what happened. Like that this is the image that real life Liz was provided.
Yes, but the movie does such a bad job showing that.
Yeah.
Like there's no part really. I mean, she gets the folder with the crime scene stuff, but there's no real scene where like
she's drawn to this image for a particular reason.
Exactly.
For it to be the one that she confronts him with.
Yeah. And like for her to be so disgusted when he writes the word hacksaw, I was like, girl, you were watching that trial. You know, he was doing way worse stuff. Like I just found that scene and she was like, you need to let me go. I was like, oh my God, like let's take the acting. We're overacting way too bad here.
Yeah. And I guess the whole thing is I didn't care enough about either of them to feel anything.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just so weird. Like I was like, why does she have to go back to answer this particular question? Like at the end of the day, does it really change that much about her life if she knows what happened to this poor dead girl's body? Like is that much? I feel like she leaves and there's that much.
I think you're
really
right. Like
different.
we never really got any insight into like what the significance of this murder
her
actually
getting
was.
this answer. But anyways, Liz leaves the prison in shock, but she's met outside by her new husband, Jerry, who we meet earlier in the movie, and Molly, who is now a teenager. And she says, she's like, I'm finally doing okay. And we're like, great, good for you, girl.
She got her catharsis.
Yeah. I mean, like, good for her if that really did happen.
Yeah. No, I mean, obvious she deserves to be able to move on.
I'm curious to read the book that it's based off of.
I'm interested in reading the book. Not overly so. I probably way more... Like, I will likely read In Cold Blood very soon. I doubt I'll read this anytime soon. My first note after finishing the film was, it was, in fact, neither extremely wicked nor shocking or vile. It was super boring.
It was very boring. It was very confused as to what it wanted to be. I thought it was, again, borderline offensive. Like, you're right. Like,
I'm just like, if we're going to make the Ted Bundy movie, which this movie, it's like pretending like it's not the Ted Bundy movie, and it is.
No, it is.
If we're going to do it, we might as well get some insight into him.
No, right. It's like, again, you've completely shut the door on paying any type of,
homage
honor.
to the victims. Like, it is not from Liz's perspective, despite
we know
what you
nothing
claim.
about the victims. Like,
Nothing.
really nothing. At the end, they show their names, and it's like, okay. So that door is closed. You completely ruined the Liz perspective of it. So you're right. It's like, if you're going to tell the Ted Bundy story,
tell the Ted Bundy story well.
And he is so, like, there are so many interviews, so many clips, so many
the man
TV
could not
segments.
stop talking once he was arrested.
I mean, he is like a psychologist's wet dream. Like, I'm shocked that the movie would choose to put so much of a spotlight on him and then not want to commit. Because it's like that at the end of the day is offensive.
Honestly, I think it was afraid. Likely the filmmakers were afraid to commit to that level for criticism, which understandable. But also, I think if you're making a film like this, you have to be aware of the fact that there is going to be criticism.
And again, I think it's almost more offensive to do that.
Agreed. Did not like this one. I'm going to give it a 2. I'll give it a 3. I'll give it a 3 out of 10.
I gave it a 2.5. So
we're close.
Yeah, same there.
One of the worst movies we've watched for the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Just when I tell you I slept through it.
Oh, I was waiting for a 10. Like, I'm not joking when I say every 2 minutes I was pausing and being like, how much of this movie is left?
It was always longer than you wanted.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Too long, unnecessary.
But yeah,
big disappointment.
Definitely my least favorite movie of the week.
Now we're going to talk about my favorite movie of the week.
Mine as well. The Goodfellas of ice skating true crime movies.
Yes.
Some would call it the only ice skating true crime movie.
This is such an iconic piece of true crime media.
Love.
I mean, this is what makes this case so special, before we get into the actual movie itself, is that this happened in the early 90s. The 1990s were like the pinnacle of like true crime being caught on film.
Yeah.
Like you have the O.J. Simpson trial, you have Lorena and John Bobbitt. Like this is when Courtroom was being televised. Oh my God.
It became television. Like trials became events.
And 90s were violent. Like there is so much true crime that happened specifically in the 90s.
I wonder
that
why.
Is so, I don't know. But it really, I mean, the Tonya Harding story is like, many argue kicked it off.
Oh yeah. It's I, Tonya, if we didn't say it.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, our next movie is I,
Tonya. So, I, Tonya came out in 2017. It is a biographical dramedy directed by Craig Gillespie and written by Stephen Rogers.
I, Tonya premiered at the 2017 Toronto International Film Festival and was picked up for distribution by Neon. It received a limited theatrical release in December 2017, which was then expanded into a wide release in January 2018. It won 1 Academy Award, Best Supporting Actress for Allison Janney, and it had 2 other nominations, Best Film Editing and Best Actress for Margot Robbie.
Honestly, not enough nominations. This is a great movie.
It's such a good one. I think in any other year, like Margot Robbie does give an Oscar-winning performance.
100%.
This is probably her career best, and I think one of the best of the 2010s. One of the best like leading female performances of the 2010s.
Oh yeah.
All of the acting is great in this movie.
Yeah.
I really enjoy this film. I think it's a ton of fun. For some reason, I've seen it like a billion times. I don't really know why. It's just one of those that I've kind of ended up watching many times. I haven't really sought it out.
I mean, a good movie to watch a lot.
It's a lot of fun. I do have issues with it. I think maybe because I've watched it so many times. They're like very evident to me, but I don't think that I would have had the issues after the second watch.
I mean, it's not a movie without fault.
No, but it's a lot of fun, and I think does some really interesting things, especially discussing it from the perspective of how true crime is depicted on film. They make a lot of really interesting, very meta choices. The movie is really kind of about how we as the public consume true crime media. That's like a huge part of it.
That's a huge part of it.
Is the media spectacle around the Tonya Harding case. But yeah, no, really great film.
The biggest thing that I love about this movie is how they approach this particular crime, because it's funny, I was watching this movie with my mom and my sister, and my sister was like, so did she know? Did she plan it? And I was kind of like, that's kind of the whole point of the movie.
Yeah. It's like,
I just love that they established so early on that this is a movie full of unreliable narrators. And it is just kind of presenting everyone's side of the story, and you kind of make your own opinion about it. And I have more to say about like what I really think this movie is about, but that is like, and I think, again, choosing to do that creates a very light tone to what could have been a very melodramatic, overly serious, extremely wicked, shockingly vile and evil type of movie. Like, I like the way that they went with this tone.
So, yeah, the film tells the story of Olympic figure skater Tonya Harding, who's played by Margot Robbie, as we said. And the narrative is very deliberately fractured. It's almost like a mockumentary style structure. The film cuts between dramatized scenes of what happened and then direct-to-camera interviews with the older versions of Tonya, her ex-husband Jeff Gillooly, and others, including her mother, who often present contradictory accounts of the same events. So the movie kind of in its structure is saying the events that we are showing you may not have happened the way that we are showing you. So it kind of acknowledges that it's not an objective version of events. It's in fact super subjective.
Yeah.
I was about to say super not objective.
We got there.
Yeah, we got there.
Tonya is first introduced in the movie as a 4-year-old pushed into ice skating by her abusive mother named Lavana, and she is played by Allison Janney, as we said. Tonya quickly shows talent with ice skating, and her parents actually end up taking her out of school to train full-time with ice skating coach Diane Rawlinson, who is played by Julianne Nicholson.
Tonya rapidly becomes one of the best figure skaters in the United States as she kind of moves into her teenage years, but she's held back by her family's financial circumstances. Like, she has to make her own costumes. She like does her own hair.
Yeah, there's sorry to interrupt. There's a very like elevated elegance in ice skating that like Tanya's, you know, kind of more redneck background isn't really welcomed into. So like there's one scene where they say like, oh, all the girls get fur coats, and like she literally has to like make one out of like rabbit
that her father like hunts and skins. No, I mean, ice skating is a super elitist sport. And it's shown very clearly, like in both the film and just like in the career of Tonya Harding, how she was like consistently underscored because the judges just didn't appreciate who she was. They didn't think that she represented the United States well as a figure skater, even though she was incredibly talented.
Oh, I have a lot to say about that in connection with the movie, but I'll save it for later.
So at 15, Tonya meets and begins dating Jeff Gillooly, who is played here by Sebastian Stan. They end up getting married despite her mother Levana's disapproval and Jeff's increasingly abusive behavior.
I will say really quick, Margot Robbie is incredible in this movie. Sebastian Stan is incredible in this movie.
Sebastian Stan, I actually thought, brought really interesting layers to this character.
Oh, I've seen an interview clip because Margot Robbie produced the movie too. And she was like, when he auditioned for Jeff, she was like, he just brought something that like no other actor did.
I can imagine.
And I think he's a great actor. And I think this is like one of his top performances. However, I will say I do wish that they had at least Tanya's character. Like they had a teenager playing her at this point. Yeah. Just because like Margot Robbie is like clearly in her 30s.
Dude, no, Margot Robbie was like in her early, like not early, she was like in her mid 20s, but she just like has always looked
She
older.
has like a very sharp jawline. She's tall.
I mean, she's obviously Margot Robbie. She's like beautiful, but she has extremely strong bone structure. Or even like, I mean, in the Wolf of Wall Street, she was like 21 or 22 when they filmed that.
But also,
but she looks so much older.
She's also like, not to be weird, but like she's like a very well-developed woman.
Yeah.
So like she has like a very womanly body.
She does.
And I also
think
it
was
like,
a bit silly when they were like, they put braces on her.
Yeah. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I think like they did a good job with like the acne and the hair.
And
like,
she really, really tries with the performance to make herself seem younger, but it is just clearly a 25-year-old woman.
Yes. And it's just like, I think a big part, especially with her and Jeff's dynamic, is she's so young when she meets him. I think it would have benefited having like a teenager.
True. I mean, to be fair, Jeff was also a teenager when they met.
Yes, I think Sebastian Stan can kind of pull it off a little bit better, in my opinion.
I disagree.
Okay.
I just think we spent more time with Tonya as a teenager. And it was, there's like one shot of her when she's like ice skating and she's like, I'm 15. And she's like supposed to be looking like nervous. And it's just like, you are a grown woman.
Yes, you actually do. Like, no.
Yeah, like I did not buy it. But yeah, I didn't really buy him either, honestly. I think he's older than her too. Like, I'm pretty sure that
Sebastian Stan,
I'm pretty sure he was like in his late 20s or early 30s when they filmed this.
Frustrated by the prejudice she faces in the skating community, despite her skill, her white trash image leaves her at a disadvantage with the judges. Tonya lashes out at Diane, fires her, and hires Dodie Teachman as her new coach. At the 1991 Skating Nationals, Tonya finally gets the high score she wanted when she becomes the first female figure skater to complete 2 triple axels in competition. I believe she's the first American woman to do a triple axel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Loved this scene.
Oh, it's great.
It's an incredible like slow-mo shot of Tonya doing the triple and then landing, and just the success of landing it like all over her face as she like embraces the cheers of the audience. It's like a beautiful slow-mo shot.
And the real Tonya Harding, like this exact routine has been recorded. And when you watch that compared to Margot Robbie's
the credits
performance, I mean, Margot Robbie nails her facial expression.
No, it's so joyful too. After kind of throughout the entire movie, you kind of just see Tonya getting beaten down like over and over and over again, literally by her mother who abused her and her husband, and then not finding success in the way that she deserves in ice skating. So this moment is such a triumph as a viewer as well. Like, you're so happy for her.
I mean,
also just a little fun fact, the filmmakers were actually unable to find a stunt double that could perform a triple axel. So that slow-mo shot was done with VFX because no one could do it.
Okay.
Like to this day, no one can, like, I mean, like 6 people in the world can do it, but they're like competing at the Olympics.
I will say one little hiccup I have about this movie is they use this like face feature to superimpose like Margot Robbie's face and the child's face onto like real figure skaters.
There are some shots where it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, there are some shots where like, ooh, but I mean, it's pretty impressive.
I feel like they get away with it most of the time.
Yes, but there every once in a while, especially when they do those really fast spins. Yeah. I don't know what that move is called, but there are times where you're like, yikes. Yeah. Like that didn't look great.
I mean, I know this was done for like not like a low budget, but a relatively low budget.
That's shocking. It's a really well shot movie.
I thought so too. However, despite her, I mean, massive athletic accomplishment, completing 2 triple axels, at the 1992 Winter Olympics, she fails to stick her landings and ends up finishing in 4th place. Defeated, and as she explains in the film, kind of like 4th place doesn't get endorsement deals. She ends up taking a job as a waitress and decides to just give up skating. Like, it was such a massive failure for her. She's just like, I'm done. Mm-hmm. But Diane, her old coach, visits her and convinces her to go back into training for the 1994 Olympics.
On the day of a competition at the Northwest Pacific Regional Championships, Tonya receives a death threat and chooses not to compete. Realizing that this could be a good move to sabotage Tonya's competition, Jeff, who is her husband, instructs his friend Sean, who is played by Paul Walter Hauser.
Scene stealer.
Oh my God.
He's so funny in this movie.
So funny. He's a great actor. I love him.
I mean, the real life guy too. Like, what a character.
But yeah.
Paul Walter Hauser, like, what a gem.
Yeah.
He kills it in this.
So Jeff instructs Sean to send death threats to Tonya's rival, Nancy Kerrigan, who's like a very elite figure skater, and she's kind of like the like Audrey Hepburn of figure skating. Like, she is like elegant and like princess like, and everyone loves her. She's super elegant. She's like what they want for American figure skating. Jeff also floats around the idea of injuring Nancy, which leads Sean into hiring 2 men, Derek Smith and Shane Stant, to attack Nancy.
Yeah, so I think even Jeff in the film floats it as like a hypothetical.
Almost like joking.
Yeah, and Sean is like, yes.
Well, Sean is like, I am like a CIA agent.
Oh, he's like a pathological liar.
Yeah.
And he's like convinced, well, he believes that he's convinced everyone in his life that he like leads this double life as a secret agent, when really he's just like a loser who lives in his mom's basement, literally. Mm-hmm. So his whole thing is like, maybe this can be my way of like legitimizing myself if I pull off this hit.
If I pull off this heist kind of like. Yeah.
So in January 1994, following a practice session at the Tony Kent Arena, Shane Stant strikes Nancy's knee with a police baton, leaving her unable to compete at the next day's national competition.
This was my mom was like, I distinctly remember seeing that all over TV.
I mean, I think the footage of her clutching her knee and going, why?
It's like,
was like everywhere.
No, literally, my mom was like, her wailing is like burned into my mind.
Derek and Shane are very quickly arrested.
Oh, yeah.
And the film,
I mean, they do the worst job ever, like getting out.
The film explains that they leave the biggest paper trail you could possibly leave and just were thoroughly stupid in almost every single point of the plan. They managed to mess it up at some point.
Oh, yeah. I love the scene where he's like escaping and he just tackles the guy for no reason. Yes. Like the guy who's like not even a little bit in his way, he just like tackles him to the ground and is like, huh, huh, and then just like leaves. It's so funny.
Or even like he couldn't unlock the doors, and instead of, I don't know, finding another exit, he just like, I guess I have to break through the doors.
Oh, it's
like,
so great.
Oh my God, dude.
So the FBI quickly finds Sean as well, who tells them that the attack was Jeff's idea. Meanwhile, Tonya qualifies for the Olympic team, but realizes she will probably be found guilty by association.
Like, yeah, now this is news.
Yeah. She cooperates with the FBI and reports what Jeff and Sean did before leaving Jeff for good. Also, like, again, this movie is told through many different perspectives. So it's kind of like they ask the question, like, well, did Tonya like set it up? Did she know about this planned attack? She claims complete innocence. Jeff claims that she somehow knew about it.
Jeff claims that she knew more than she's letting on.
Right.
But he also does say, or this version of Jeff in the interview scenes that supposedly take place years later, Jeff acknowledges that she wasn't really like an instrumental part of this.
Yes.
Like that she was kind of a casualty of this stupid plan that him and Sean cooked up.
Yes, but again, keep in mind that this movie kind of makes you ask the question of what did Tonya really know?
Yes. They really deny any sort of insight in that way purposefully.
Yeah.
So when the case starts getting more media attention, Tanya's mother, Lavana, who it is implied that they're estranged at this point. I mean, Lavana is just like a narcissist, abusive.
She's an awful person.
And mother.
Yes, I was going to say, let alone mother.
Yeah. Lavana visits Tonya and seemingly tries to comfort her. This scene was heartbreaking because you can see how badly Tonya needs to be comforted. Like she
just needs a hug.
When her mom offered her that hug, and she's so reluctant to take it because obviously her mom has never been anything other than like an antagonistic force to her, you could see her just so badly wanting to like melt into her mother's arms. It was so sad. But when she does, she realizes that the whole reason Lavana even came to visit her is because she's wearing a wire and to see if Tonya knew anything and if she could leverage that information. Tonya immediately throws her out. Jeff, Sean, and the henchmen are charged, but Tanya's hearing is postponed until after the Olympics. And as she says in like a talking head flash forward, of course the media wants to see Tonya and Nancy go head to head at the Olympics.
Right.
Like you really think that they're going to pass up those ratings. So of course Tanya's trial was postponed. It was really no kindness to her. It was fully like these networks just wanting to get as much money out of this event as possible.
And I mean, you know, everyone has their own opinions on this case and Tonya Harding and everything, but I mean, this movie, that scene with Margot Robbie, the character of Tonya, you cannot feel awful when she is like clearly having the panic attack of all panic attacks at the Olympics. Like the amount of stress she's under and like she knows she's basically just like walking in to fail. Like everyone's kind of there just to see her fuck
and
up.
Hoping she will.
Yeah. And it's so heartbreaking to see like, and again, it's televised, so there is real footage of the real Tonya Harding going out on the ice. And so it's like, I think that scene backstage with Margot Robbie is just like masterclass acting.
And apparently they did it in something like 3 takes. Like it was
like
3 takes to get, it's just we hold on a close up of her doing her makeup in the mirror and just like breaking down in tears.
Trying so hard to keep it together and she just like cannot.
Oh my God, it's brutal. Truly, like this film, when I say like this is Margot Robbie's best performance of her career, likely will stay her best performance of her career. She's incredible in this movie.
Yeah, everyone gives like an even that scene of Lavana and Tonya at the diner where Tanya's like confronting her. I mean, that is what secured Allison Janney that Oscar.
Allison Janney also, my God, incredible. She's such a great presence throughout the film that we do go through points where we don't see her and you miss her. Like
right, when she gets back, you're like, oh my God, girl, where have you been?
No, she's excellent in this. And she brings this great sense of kind of like dark humor to the character.
So Tonya ends up finishing in 8th at the Olympics while Nancy wins the silver medal. At the hearing, Tonya is sentenced to community service and a lifelong banishment from competitive figure skating.
Heartbreak.
Oh my God, this is rough.
This is probably my favorite scene.
Heartbroken, she begs the judge to give her jail time instead of taking away her livelihood, but the decision stands. This is
the
awful.
Tear falling down Margot Robbie's face as she's saying, I don't have an education. This is the only thing I know how to do.
Literally, it's the only thing she's done her entire life.
Oh my God, it's heartbreaking.
No, and okay, I'm going to go into a little bit of a rant here, but this movie isn't really even so much about like it is about the Nancy Kerrigan thing, but I think what this movie really is about and what it does a great job of showing is how Tonya is just kind of like her entire life set up to fail.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, we were talking about it earlier in the movie, but throughout her entire career, she was called trailer trash. She was called a redneck. She was told she was too stocky and short and her hair and her costumes were ugly.
They didn't like her choice of music. Like, she's too inelegant. But
Yes.
it's like, no, she's a powerful skater. She's not
an
elegant.
Incredible skater. She had so much skill. She was like clearly one of the top skaters in the entire, league of ice skating. I don't know what you call it. But no matter what she did, they were looking for ways to push her out. They were giving her the worst scores, holding her back at every expense. And then when this happens, it's like, okay, great. We have an excuse now to get her out of here. And it's so frustrating because, like, she did dedicate her life to ice skating just for them to kind of constantly push her away.
Yeah, she's never accepted by the sport.
No, they've never accepted her. And again, like, she has this one thing. And again, instead of giving her jail time, which she is begging to do.
Yeah.
They so quickly just throw her out.
Yeah. No, this scene is really devastating. It's probably my favorite scene.
Yeah.
In the film.
The movie definitely plays very sympathetic towards Tonya.
It's very sympathetic to Tonya. I will say they do make it evident that kind of with the cutting between the narrative and then the talking heads of the characters, we do see that Tonya has a tendency to not take responsibility for anything.
No, yeah.
There's constantly, she'll do something and then it'll cut to Tonya years later going, it wasn't my fault.
No, yeah. I don't think she's a victim
I don't
necessarily.
think the film lets her off completely, but it is definitely very sympathetic to her. You are really, really encouraged to sympathize with her, and it's kind of impossible to come away from this movie not sympathizing with her.
Well, the screenwriter did very extensive interviewing with the real Tonya Harding. So she did have a bit of influence in this movie.
Of course.
So obviously the movie's going to lean a little sympathetic towards her, whether that's, they meant to do that or if it's more subconsciously.
But I do agree that the objective facts of her life story and skating career do evoke sympathy.
Oh, 100%.
She's had a really hard life, and she had a hard time in the profession that she had no choice but to enter. Her parents took her out of school.
Yeah, she was forced by her mother to enter it, and they never accepted her.
Yeah.
Like, that's just fucked.
As the film wraps up, in a direct-to-camera interview, Jeff acknowledges that he ruined Tanya's life. He reveals that in the years since, he's changed his name and gotten remarried, and now seems to be living happily. Following her ban from skating, Tonya says that she works odd jobs, and she ends up doing a stint as a female boxer, kind of trying to capitalize on her infamy as Tonya Harding. Text at the end states that she now lives happily with her new husband and their son, and that she wants people to know that she's a good mother.
It kind of made me sad at the end.
That made me really sad.
Yeah.
I mean, I also loved the last scene.
Yeah.
Love it. It cuts between slow-mo of her now trying to be a female boxer, getting absolutely rocked.
Oh, her shit gets fucked.
In slow-mo, and then they intercut it with her hitting the triple axel and her kind of joy as she lands it, then cuts to her hitting the ground.
Oh, yeah. It's a beautiful
It is
ending.
Amazing. And in voiceover, I mean, the movie is not at all gray about what its message is. It's about the way that we consume true crime media, about the way that we love to have a villain to shit on, basically. Tonya says in voiceover, over a shot of her getting beat up in this boxing ring, everyone's cheering because she's the villain. Like, we want to see her get knocked down. She says, "I was loved for a minute, then I was hated, then I was just a punchline. It was like being abused all over again, only this time it was by you." And yeah, I just think that the argument made by the film speaks to the larger discourse around the ethics of true crime media.
Well, there's an entire character in these talking head segments who is literally like a reporter, and he basically is like, yeah, we used to do this, and
He's saying that we used to slash her tires to get her to come out of her house because their cameras all set up around it.
They used to tow her car
to get her coming out crying.
Yeah.
Just so that they can exploit her image.
Yeah.
disgusting, frankly. What the paparazzi were allowed to get away with up until like 2010 is disgusting.
Oh, again, the 90s was a fucking crazy time. Again, like, I don't know how much you know about the John and Lorena Bobbitt story.
Not much.
Oh my God. If you ever look into that story, the way the media treated that poor woman is genuinely disgusting. Like, almost sickening, the way that so many people just jumped on this poor woman's abuse. And the same with, like, the case could be made for Tonya Harding too. Like, the poor woman had such a hard life.
Yeah.
Was abused by her mother, was abused by her husband, abandoned by her father, and then forced into this sport that never accepted her. And she becomes this punchline. And again, like, you know, making the argument of, let's say she didn't know as much as people would believe, like, her life was completely ruined.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the major criticisms around the film has kind of been about how Nancy Kerrigan's perspective was sidelined as the victim of this attack.
Yeah.
Who truly, like, was not involved in Tanya's, like, shit show of a life.
No.
Like, she really was just an innocent victim.
Yeah.
She actually spoke to Boston Globe columnist Dan Shaughnessy in 2018, and he asked her if she had seen the film. She said she had not. She emphasized that she was occupied with living her own life and that her only role in the 1994 scandal was recovering from the attack.
I mean, no shame to her. Like,
no, I don't blame her.
She really is, like, a completely innocent victim in this, like, total shit show. Like,
and I do think that while Tonya Harding does, for a lot of reasons, kind of deserve the public sympathy, especially after what the public put her through, and the spectacle that they made out of her in her life, I do think that there should be maybe a level of sympathy for Nancy Kerrigan as someone who just got caught in the crossfires.
I think the reason why,
even the fact that she's being asked about this movie,
like, so long after she was, like, randomly attacked by a stranger.
Why would she want to relive this? Why should she care, really? Like, she was a victim.
No, yeah. I think, again, the reason why most people, I completely agree with you, by the way. Right after the attack, I mean, Nancy Kerrigan was obviously, like, she kind of became, like, America's sweetheart after the attack. Mm-hmm. So I think,
and she was the perfect person to position as a hero versus Tonya.
Well, she was already so loved, and she was
so poised
became
and
this
beautiful,
like angelic figure who was, like, you know, I mean, she was a total victim. But that only just, like, skyrocketed kind of this image that she already had going for her. But I completely agree with you where it's like, yeah, why would she want to, like, relive this awful attack that happened on her?
Yeah, it was probably pretty traumatic for her.
And also just, like, in a small part of a story that completely sympathizes with someone who
was
may
involved
or may
in
not, have orchestrated it. So I completely understand the criticism towards the movie in that respect.
My personal main criticisms toward the film is I love a good mic drop. I loved the use of the chain. One of my favorite Fleetwood Mac songs is used in a scene very well.
There is a lot of licensed music in this movie.
I think there is one too many moments of licensed music, in my opinion.
Oh, really? I think it kind of works well.
I think it mostly works well. There were one or two songs that I was kind of like, okay, like, come on. This is a bit of a shtick now.
Maybe it's because I've only seen this movie like 3 times. And you've seen it like 13.
I think I've seen it 7 times.
Yeah. So, like, I'm sure by my 7th time, I'll probably feel that way too.
Yeah.
It's also been a few years since I've seen this movie. So it was kind of a fun, like, rewatch.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, I forgot how fun this movie is.
It is a lot of fun. That is also my second major criticism of the film. Tanya's abuse at the hands of Jeff Gillooly, her husband, is shown very starkly. Like, you are shown him hitting her, abuse. She's getting punched. She's getting chased and tackled.
She gets shot.
He shoots at her. I do feel like the movie's kind of like balls to the wall, like super fun, flashy tone, very darkly humorous tone, sometimes is at odds with the physical abuse that we're being shown.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from.
That is like the one there were just a few scenes where like the images that we were being shown are quite horrifying of the abuse that she's facing. And it seems just like a little at odds with the tone of the film, which is really kind of encouraging us to not take things too seriously. That's just kind of a tonal issue that I think the movie has. I think that maybe it would have been to the benefit to just show fewer scenes of the abuse.
It's very prominent.
It's incredibly prominent. We see many, many scenes. And I think that we still would have gotten the idea of how prevalent it was in her life if we didn't have to see so many moments of it. And I think that the tone of the film would have worked better.
I agree with you. I think what the film was maybe trying to do was like how Tonya and Jeff are both unreliable narrators. Like, there are times where Jeff is like, no, Tonya was abusive towards me. And we see like 1 or 2 scenes of that. But like, you're right. We see so many scenes of Jeff like really severely abusing Tonya. And it's a little lighthearted, like too lighthearted for what we're watching.
That's my kind of thing. I'm like, I feel like, and then we're jumping to something like very lighthearted that we're like not supposed to take as seriously. And it just seems like whiplash a little bit at some points.
I completely see that.
I will say that that's not an issue that I had with it on first watch. It was more just on repeat watching. That's kind of something that has started to bug me about it.
And it's
it not to say that
ruin the movie.
No, it doesn't. And I actually think the way that they show how Tonya rationalized the abuse was done really well.
Really well.
There's a line where Margot Robbie is like, well, I didn't understand. Like, my mom hits me and she loves me. So why would I think that because he hit me, he didn't love me?
Right.
And it's like, oh God, yeah, like that's horrible. But that's a lot of times how the cycle of abuse works. It's it's kind of devastating. I thought that really added a rationale that is comprehensible to audiences, where there are definitely points where you could have asked, like, why doesn't she just leave him?
Yeah, I thought that part of the movie was done very well.
I thought so too.
And again, knowing that Tonya Harding, the real Tonya Harding, had a very strong influence in the screenplay. I mean, those words were probably taken right out of her mouth.
Probably. I think a lot of the interview portions, or the screenwriter has claimed that a lot of the interview portions with Tonya are just direct quotes.
Yeah.
I hope so. She's quite clever, if that's the case.
Yeah, I was going to say she's actually pretty well spoken.
Yeah, she's pretty well spoken, pretty funny, if that is the case.
Yeah, if that's true.
I just like how we see so many like shit, like the bad shit that she does, and then it just cuts to her going, "It's not my fault."
Yeah.
It's like it's a funny little gimmick that keeps happening.
I will say, I think the tone of this movie really plays with just the absurdity of the real life case. Like,
and there are so many characters.
Oh
like
my
these
God.
people.
It's something out of a soap opera, really.
It really is.
So I think like the more lighthearted tone, and I think the like dark humor of it all does play well with just
Agreed.
kind of like you know, you and I were talking, we were like, if this was a murder case, like it would be way different.
Well, that's the thing. No one died, so they're able to not take it as seriously because you're not like making light someone's murder.
And, you know, to that point, obviously, like, I feel for Nancy Kerrigan. However, she's living happily with her family, and like she said, she's living her own life now. She doesn't really have time to like reflect back on this like random awful period in her life. Tonya Harding is living happily with her family. Jeff Galooly is living happily with his family. I don't know what's going on with Lavana, but
I hope nothing good.
I know, yeah.
I like hope she's really sick or something.
Oh my God,
dude, she's like evil. Like,
I know, she's awful.
I'm sorry, I don't
wish good things for her either.
I have no sympathy for a mother who abuses her child.
Hearing you say that out loud, I was like, damn, Olivia.
I'm sorry. I have no sympathy for a mother who abuses their child. I have no sympathy for anyone who abuses a child.
I don't either. I just like the way you immediately said that. I was like, damn, that was how you really feel.
Maybe it was harsh, but
no, it was funny. Yeah, I love this movie. I think it's really fun.
It is really fun.
I think it's clever. I think it's especially like a story that has just been beaten to death by the media. I think it's a very fun way and clever way of presenting it, and I don't want to say a new perspective, but an interesting perspective. Again, I like how everyone's an unreliable narrator, and how the kind of thing is like, we'll never really know the truth.
But that's the thing, is like, maybe that's the most objective way to tell a true crime story, is by upfront acknowledging that what we are telling you is not objective.
Yeah. I give Tonya I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Really? I'm going to go 7.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, again, you've seen it way more than
I've
me.
seen it a bunch, and yeah, I'm going to go 7, but I think it's like a 7 is a good rating in my opinion.
Again, maybe on my 7th watch it'll go down, but rewatching it this time, I was just like having a lot of fun.
It is a blast.
Yeah.
It is an absolute blast. It is laugh out loud funny too.
But
yeah, enjoyed our movies this week. Enjoyed chatting with you.
I enjoyed the movie. I always enjoyed chatting with you, Olivia.
I thought you were going to say I enjoyed the movies, didn't enjoy chatting.
Hated chatting with Olivia. Loved the movies. No, I actually didn't love the movies we watched. Like watching them, they were fine.
I think
really
that this was a great lineup to talk about how true crime is shown. I feel like
That's
picked
exactly it. Yeah, I'm
3 very different perspectives on how to portray true crime.
Yeah, it's just it always is an interesting conversation thinking about the ethics of true crime media and really, like we said, is there really a right way to present true crime in a in a
non-exploitative way? Yeah.
So I, especially like again being a frequent avid taker of true crime media, it was very interesting to see how, I don't know, like how people approach these different stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. And if you would like to join us next week, hello listeners, we are going to be talking about cannibalism.
Wild.
No, it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one. We are talking about Silence of the Lambs.
Obviously.
Julia Ducournau's Raw. And Luca Guadagnino's Bones and All. So very fun lineup for next week.
Bring your appetites.
Okay, well, if you'd like to watch along with us and then rejoin for us all to talk about them, please do so. Please leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed the video. And don't forget to subscribe. We need it.
We really need it.
Please subscribe. All right, bye.
Bye.